gonna level out.
I mean, we'll talk about the crisis.
I'll say.
I mean, I don't know why it went skyrocketing lately.
See, they didn't remove withhold superintendent.
As long as she's ready.
Moved there and everything.
This is Thursday, February 8th, 2018, and this is the open caucus session of the Armstrong School District. We will now call that meeting to order with a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand for a moment of reflection, please. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, initially, because neither our vice president or president were able to be here tonight, you need to adopt a motion to appoint a president pro temp to lead your meeting, preside at it, and as I understand it, we have a volunteer sitting right here who's willing to do it. So there'd be a motion to appoint him as president pro temp for tonight's meeting.
Motion.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed?
It's your agenda.
Any roll call?
Mr. Burdell, Ms. Bowser,
Here.
Mr. Chauncey, Mr. Elkin,
Here.
Ms. Lote,
Here.
Dr. Lobby, Mr. Mulroy, Mr. Scaife,
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
The Board of School Directors of Armstrong School District convened an executive session on Thursday, February 8th at 7:00 p.m. in the Faculty Lounge of West Hills Intermediate School in Tanning for discussion of personnel and real estate.
Okay, first thing for tonight are our student board representative reports. And we have West Shamokin High School.
Good evening. I will be representing Shannock Valley Elementary and Dayton Elementary tonight. Students at Shannock Valley Elementary have been very busy. Students have been learning about important figures in the civil rights movement, such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks, as they celebrate Black History Month throughout February. The first through third graders made Groundhog's Day crafts that are now on display in the hallways. Several classrooms participated in the making of Valentine's cards for the residents at the Armstrong County Health Center. The students are making a positive impact on many residents, providing them with a little love for Valentine's Day. The PAC Rewards program is rewarding students that exhibit positive behavior a sled riding Friday that will soon be held. First, second, and third grade students have been participating in lessons geared toward dental health and hand washing in health class to aid in prevention of the cold and flu virus that has affected much of the area. The school is gearing up to raise money for Jump Rope for Heart Week coming up in March. The Shannock Valley Elementary PTO is planning to schedule Paul Warshawski, a children's author and former educator, to speak to the students. Mr. Warshawski is hoping to teach the students about the fun of creativity and the language arts. A mother-son event is also being planned for students, where they will be able to enjoy some fun activities to spend quality time with their mothers. On January 19th, a paint party fundraiser was organized by the PTO. The fundraiser was successful. Gertrude Hawk Easter candy is now being sold for the upcoming Easter season. And students in grades 3 through 6 are focused on preparing for the upcoming PSSA tests. In Dayton Elementary, some students have begun attending chess club. This is just another great activity to work the minds of students through strategic gaming. The chess club meets every Thursday. On January 8th, Dayton Elementary held their Computers for Education kickoff campaign. On January 19th, the Gold Pass Rewards program was held to allow 6th grade students to go to Belmont Complex. Punxsutawney Phil paid Dayton Elementary a visit on January 19th. It was a great time of excitement among the students. On February 2nd, the Gold Pass Rewards program allowed 6th graders to go to the YMCA in Katanning to enjoy facilities. The Mars Stars came to Dayton Elementary for a jump rope presentation on February 6th. Students were introduced to new jump roping skills and techniques. They will use these techniques, and after spending the entire month of January practicing, the students in grades 4 through 6 will participate in Dayton Elementary's 7th annual jump rope competition on February 14th. Additionally, on the 14th, Dayton Elementary will be having their Valentine's Day classroom parties. Many students have already begun to create their Valentine's boxes in preparation for the celebration. I'll turn it over to Evan.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. We've had a quite busy time at West Shamokin. Members of the senior high band performed at the District Band Festival at Armstrong High School. Also at Armstrong High School was the Junior County Tourist Concert, and it was a lot of fun from what I've heard from the kids. Members of the senior high chorus performed at the District Chorus Festival in Du Bois, and this is my first year in chorus, and I don't have to go. It was quite the time. You did a lot of fun stuff up there with music and things like that. Select students attended County Chorus and County Band at Freeport Middle School. And tickets for our musical, The Music Man, will go on sale on February 12th. We will have 3 showings on March 23rd, 24th, and 25th. The performances on the 23rd and 24th will be in the evening, while the performance on the 25th will be a matinee. We hope that everyone will be able to come and attend. It's going to be a good show. The Varsity Club is sponsoring a Run the Swamp 5K race on May 12th. And in our clubs, the Quiz Bowl team placed 3rd at the annual Indiana County Academic League Championship. We now qualify to compete at the NAQT Small School Championship in Chicago, and we are very excited to attend for the 2nd consecutive year. The National Honor Society completed its annual Pennies for Patients fund drive benefiting the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I don't know the exact number, but I think we raised around $250 for Pennies for Patients, so that's a good cause. NHS also began sponsoring a board game club featuring chess, Trivial Pursuit, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. It's getting a very good turnout from kids. We're proud of that. And students on the impromptu speech, current events, family consumer science, math, and science teams are preparing to compete in the annual Heritage Conference academic competitions. And they're all held throughout a weekend in April or May, I think, and it's just a straight week of the different activities. The senior class officers organized another successful snowball dance at the 10th Street Station in Ford City. And our students of the month for January were Owen Fleming and Tara Fisher, and the students of the month for February are Dakota Smith and Lainey Johnston. And at Elderton Elementary, students are hard at work preparing for their PSSA exams. And on February 2nd, a My Guy and Me dance was held. And on February 23rd, 3rd and 4th graders will be headed to Lutherland to enjoy a day of fun and learning activities outside of their daily routine. And of course, they're preparing for Valentine's Day on Wednesday. So we've had quite the time over at West Shamokin and Elderton Elementary. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Central Office Administrative Reports.
Yeah, we have a number of folks here this evening to address the board, and I'll turn over to Dr. Slosky to introduce our first guest this evening.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Ashley Coudrier is with us this evening from Carnegie Mellon University. She's going to be sharing with you some information about a partnership between the Armstrong School District and Carnegie Mellon University. This partnership is at no cost to the district. It's going to benefit not only our staff, but also our students. And the project is called a Learn Lab. And what basically happens is researchers from Carnegie Mellon who have designed various educational and innovative technologies will come into the schools and demonstrate and share those technologies with our students. So it should be a very exciting opportunity to be able to showcase some of the really cutting-edge technology in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math. So, Dr. Coudrier.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Slosky kind of gave a good background of it. There's not a ton more. Like she mentioned, this is free, and this is an initiative that's been going on for about 3 years now. It started with the Montour School District, and then last year we expanded it to Carlington and Cornell School Districts, so those are 3 districts that are down closer to Pittsburgh. I actually live pretty close by, and so just having worked I used to work at Apollo Ridge, and I recognized that, sometimes just because of location, you don't have as much access to a lot of those things that are occurring, especially like at the universities, the things in Pittsburgh. So I reached out to your administration, and they were really willing to work with me. And so, we'll be able to hopefully touch every kid in the district in some way. Over the next year, I'll be working closely with you, with your district. And my role is to kind of go in between the university, CMU, and the school district. So I'm going to continue to work with those 3 districts that I worked with last year, but I'm adding Armstrong. And I'll be, excuse me, here in the district a few times a month. We've already been able to actually start sharing some opportunities. I know in November we had a big summit, and we were able to invite your administrators to attend that. I think that was successful. And they got to view some of the technology that's being developed at CMU. And then, there's a lot of hands-on activities. They range from things that are designed for primary and elementary kids. We have like an earth shake machine that simulates like an earthquake and teaches the kids about physics and that STEM learning. So we'll be able to advance you in that way, and hopefully get some grants to supply your schools with some of these educational technologies. And then at the secondary level, there's a lot of math, science, educational technology that occurs. So that's also like the STEM, it will support your STEM fields. And this is going to be a good source of PD for your teachers, because they'll have access and understand some of the theoretical underpinnings of what's being developed, but really also really good for the kids, because they'll have that access to the technology as well. So looking forward to working with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It'll be really exciting.
Yeah. Next, we have Jack Levacy here from the YMCA. He's here to discuss possible opportunity with the district and the YMCA working together to possibly use our field in field house and tennis courts down at the Tanning High School.
Thank you, everybody. So last month, excuse me, the IGS-YSA submitted an inquiry for just that, for the opportunity to be able to be here this evening and discern if we could potentially partner to utilize the fields. This is going to benefit the district, the community, and the Y in a couple of different ways. First, benefiting the mission and the vision of the YMCA, we'll be able to serve more youths in different age demographics. Currently, we serve the age group of 4 to 12. And this past year, we actually worked with and served 1,000 children. We believe we can serve even more. Within a mile radius of the Y, there are 5,000 individuals. And so, as you can see, we're only getting 1/5 of those kids potentially. The next thing is creating and serving adults. We don't have enough programming for adults, and we don't have enough space for that. We see in the future and have budgeted for actually to do things such as flag football and rugby and other sports that could be a benefit to that age group. Lastly, underneath the mission and vision, serving diverse populations. We have a very large adaptive program at the Y, of which we serve about 50 children and about 200 adults currently. So we really think that we can do a lot more work there. And one of the things that we thought we could do with the field and the space is start to entertain Special Olympics coming to the area. So we thought that of value. The next thing is, how is it going to benefit the community? We feel that by providing community events such as Healthy Kids Day will be something that we'll have more room to work with up there. Last year, our Healthy Kids Day was revolved around 100 kids, and we utilized the whole campus along with the trail system, so we find that as a benefit. Increasing the capacity of usage of that whole area year-round. We know that fall and spring we can certainly utilize it, but also too summer. Our summer camp is huge. This past year we bumped it up to about 380 children, and we believe this year it's going to be even grander than that. So we need more space. Strengthening the perception of the community by potentially increasing property values within the adjacent neighborhoods. Wick City is coming back, folks. I don't know if you've been down there, but it's making a comeback. It's a really great place, and I know by having the Y standing out there on a regular basis, more so off the campus is really going to help that out. So how is this going to benefit the district? We believe that we'll save the district personnel expenses, mowing, cleaning the field house, etc. We're saving on maintaining the assets, so occupancy costs. We'll assume that electricity and AC and heat, sewage, and supplies. There's still some math I need to see, so I can really make a great discernment on that. But we feel that that's all doable. And then in ensuring sustainability of the assets, I think that's a really important scenario. The field's a great place. The tennis courts are great. I'd like to see tennis come back, as well as pickleball. I don't know if you all play pickleball. If you haven't, just come give it a shot. In closing, I really believe this partnership is going to be responsible for allowing us the opportunity to expand our current programs. It'll increase our capacity to operate qualitatively and safely, which is real important. We have nice fields, but we need much more space. And then lastly, we'll increase the economics of the county by providing jobs. The larger we grow, the more the economics will grow in that area. And I don't know if you have any questions, but that's it. Yes, sir.
Jared, what's your timeline for an answer?
No rush. Absolutely no rush. I mean, we believe in the process you guys will go through, so there's no rush. I mean, we're going to operate as we were going to do it anyways. The thing that might get suspended by not doing this is we want to run an adaptive summer camp this year. We're working with Matt Clark right now to get a message out to the people. We created a community needs assessment to do that, and we've got a lot of large response back that's been extremely positive.
And you've been on site, you've seen the facilities as they currently sit, and you feel like you can handle the maintenance of those?
We think so. Yeah, we think so. I mean, again, some variables that I'll get with Sam and Stan on later on just to talk about. Because, again, I don't know what the water bill is and I don't know what the sewage bill is. But as far as the electricity, we won't be running the big lights unless something grand happens. So if we were to run something such as the Special Olympics, then we may need to do something like that. But outside of that, it's just going to be day-to-day operations as it is in the light.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Your water usage will be minimal. I mean, our teams used it to shower. Other than that, I'm not sure what your use of the field house is going to be, but I don't think you'll use it the same capacity as football team was.
Sure. So we're thinking that by running the summer camp out of there, that we'd just use the restrooms, but outside of that, I don't see anything else. You know, we had toyed around with the idea of some strength and conditioning for kids in off season and stuff of that nature, but even then, it won't necessitate, I don't believe, a shower.
I'll get you those.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Next this evening, we have Mr. Michael Kieran. He's president of West Shamokin Youth Softball. He's going to speak to the board about the use of the ball fields behind Shannon Valley Elementary School.
Good evening. Thank you for the time to come and talk to you about the fields behind the Shannock Valley Elementary. I am the president of the West Shamokin Youth Softball Organization, a new organization to the West Shamokin area. We kind of split off from Little League last year. For the softball, we saw some potential development opportunities that it's a little better for the USA Softball Association. So as we grew the softball over the past 3 or 4 years through the Little League, we're seeing a lot more teams, a lot more opportunities there. So as we do that, we want to work with the Little League and not not try to infringe on the fields that they're currently using for the baseball side of it. So we saw an opportunity with the elementary fields that are not being used currently, if we could lease those from the school district, similar to what the youth football program, I believe, is doing, the same football fields that are up there beside the softball fields now. We have already 5 teams just for the girls that are signed up for this year. We have another sign-up day this year. Like I said, it is a growing program. We adapted the model hustle, hit, never quit, and the girls have really developed a lot through there. And we think it's a great program to give the girls an opportunity in that area to participate in something that keeps them on the good. So that's our ask. It's kind of a 2-part ask. Those fields have not been used for quite some time, so it will take some initial investment to get the fields back into a condition. So we have fundraisers already. We started a good fundraiser last year. Have a lot of fundraisers planned for this year. We have some fields that we can use this year, so it's not, I don't think, a necessity maybe to get a game ready for this year, but probably more practice ready for the fields. We want to make sure they're safe and they have that environment. So the second part of our ask is if there is any opportunity for the school board to help out in the initial getting them back just to a usable, safe condition, and then we would take over the maintenance and maintain them beyond that. But I mean, that's I know that's a strong ask, so it's not a, we would still take it without that, but just an ask for some initial help at the beginning to get them back to a usable condition.
Have you been up there?
I have, yeah.
What do you believe the estimate is to getting that field practicable?
To get it in practice shape, I don't think there's a lot that it's probably thousands of dollars to get a practice ready, to get it to where you have some fences and stuff for safety for players, and that's where it could get. We've got some quotes on other fencing. If you do an entire field of near $20,000 to do a full field with fencing, but I think we can do things minimal, just to make sure it's safe and not maybe a complete fence around the field.
The second part of your request, do you have a number in your mind that you're thinking about?
I do not. I mean, I guess the first question is if there's a possibility that we could put a budget together. I mean, again, it's how far you go and what, if we just do a bare minimum, if we get some, I don't believe there's any benches up there for the players and stuff either, but I believe that we're going to have in that $15,000 to $20,000 range, no matter what we do up there, just to get both fields ready. And I don't, I'm not necessarily asking for that full number, just a help of that to help go along with our other fundraising efforts.
I mean, your timeline is, you said you have a place to play this year, right?
We use the rec field currently down for the Rural Valley Borough. We've got permission off of that. Softball's kind of always used the one field down in that park, so we will continue to use that. We also got permission from Ray to use the high school fields after the high school season's over. Our games generally start after the high school season's done, so we'll have those fields as well, that field as well to use for game situations. It really is a practice thing. When you got 5 teams that are all trying to practice and get at least maybe 2 practices in per week, just to get the fields for that.
So will you continue to use that high school field if your request is successful and the board agrees to let you lease that? Would you still use the high school field to play your games?
Yep. Yeah, because we have the 5 teams now. We're trying to get 2 older teams on it additionally. We're trying to close the gap between the 12U and the high school, the varsity level. So we're trying to get some additional teams in with that. And if we get those teams to come on board, then we're definitely going to need that. We also have the Alderton area coming over for the girls' side for the softball. So I believe that we will grow the program we'll need all those fields, along with the baseball, because like I said, we want to work along with those guys and not take away field time from them as well. We want to leave that program grow and use the fields that they're using.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to go into that now? Okay. Another presentation tonight is we have folks here from Piper Jaffray, Randy Frederick, and Chip McCarthy, and also we have Chris Brewer from Dinsmore and Shaw. They're here to discuss a potential bond issue that we would go out and do in March. If you recall, last month we approved the ESCO project out at Ellerton, as well as the completion of the project at Shannock Valley to the tune of about $8.2 million. And on our agenda tonight, we also discussed improving the bids to complete the stadium complex up at the Armstrong Junior Senior High School, which is a little over $3 million, as well as approval of turf at West Shamokin, around $750,000. That all adds up more than what they're going to talk about. We do still have approximately $3+ million left in our construction funds to complete the high school project here, but we're looking to borrow some funds to do the 2 elementary projects, finish up Armstrong, and also the turf at West Shamokin. And again, that sale of bonds would not be until we'd be proving this in March, but I wanted to get them here tonight to just at least get this in front of you so you can start thinking about it.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. My name is Randy Frederick. We're from Piper Jaffray and Company. Behind me is Chip McCarthy, Senior Vice President, who does our computer and analysis of any type of possible bond issue, refinancing, or new money type projects. We want to, first of all, thank you for allowing us to represent the Armstrong School District. We're proud to have you on our resume. You have a very strong rating in the marketplace, and that's due to the administration and board decisions that have been made in the past. What we have tonight is a presentation which has been put before you. Chip McCarthy will be discussing this with you, but we want to let you know that we're always available at any time to answer any questions. Our contact information is on the front page. Along with us is Chris Brewer from Dinsmore Shoal, who's your legal / bond counsel on the past issues, and he is here to opine to any type of legal questions that may arise this evening. So do not hesitate to contact us at any time if the answers aren't fully answered tonight, but you have questions tomorrow. Please do not hesitate to call us, because we do work as a team, and if one's not there, someone else will be there to answer the questions. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it, and I'm going to turn it over to Chip.
Thanks, Randy. So we'll just go through the presentation we have before you. If you have any questions during the presentation, please do not hesitate to jump in and ask. Just briefly, on page 2 there, just some bedtime reading to put you to sleep at night, but there's a lot of discussion on the economics and what's going on in the marketplace. In particular, I just highlighted that 10-year Treasury rate. That's kind of a taxable market rate that the municipal market follows as kind of a benchmark. So you see it's at a 281. I think today it might even have got as high as a 288. So significant movement from a month prior where you saw it at 247. So we've been discussing numbers with Sam for a little bit and showing him some numbers. So, I mean, rates have gone up probably anywhere from 30 to 40 plus basis points in the last month, just with all the craziness that's going on in the marketplace. So just wanted you to be aware of that. Page 3 is another key index that we follow, the bond buyer index, the 20-year index of bonds all across the country. It's relevant as well because you can see in that box on the right-hand side, the highest it's ever been is a 6.01% during this time frame, the lowest being a 280, which we hit in 2016. And then you see right now, probably the most recent, I think it actually came out today too, but I didn't get the number before we left, but you see it at 372. So still relatively low tax-exempt rates, even though rates have begun to climb. You're still in a good position. to borrow moving forward. Page 4, again, is just a summary of your existing debt service and the call dates on that debt service. One thing I'd like to point out is that with the recent passage of the U.S. tax bill, they've outlawed tax-exempt advance refundings of municipal bonds. So that's important because you cannot, on a tax-exempt basis, refund existing bond debt service more than 90 days in advance of the call date. So that is relevant to some of the issues you do have outstanding. There are a couple issues coming up. One's actually callable right now, the 2013 bond issue that we've been going back and forth and updating Sam. Unfortunately, the rates don't work for any type of refinancing opportunities on those 2013 bonds. We continuously monitor that and will apprise you if anything changes. You can see that 13 bond issue goes out to 26, so it's relatively short. The short end of the market has been getting crushed. I mean, unusually high rates in that short end of the market. The 2014 bond issue will be callable approximately a year from now. Again, we'll update you moving forward throughout the year. Any opportunities that we see may arise at the beginning of 2019. And then recently you see the 17 bond issue that we did for new money for approximately $10 million. What you're going to see the results for the proposed bond issue are going to be very similar to this as it wrapped around your existing debt service going out to 2043. The same type of scenario. Your proposed bond issue will wrap around the existing debt, approximately going out one more year to 2044.
Chip, just
Sure.
quickly, the 2010 issue, what is that callable? Is that 19?
It's actually callable in 2021.
21.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is your taxable Build
Oh, I see it
America
there. I'm
bonds.
sorry, it's right
Yeah.
there in front of me.
Yeah, so that's okay.
Okay.
So yeah, and that would be obviously the largest chunk of your debt service. So as we're able to, as you move forward into 2021, that will be on everybody's radar. Sure.
Sir, will you lose the federal subsidy if you refinance them?
Yeah, I'll defer to Chris a little bit on that, but as far as I'm aware, that if you refund it on a taxable basis, you do not lose that subsidy. Now, if you go ahead and do it on a tax-exempt basis, if you're able to do that, if the laws permit you, I believe then yes, you would lose a federal subsidy because that is a taxable bond issue. But again, I would defer to Chris.
That's technically correct. The federal government took the view, not in the regulation, but in the view of some commentators, that since your credit came from the fact that you pay the bonds directly, you were to refund them in an escrow fund to pay the bonds that denied the subsidy. It's a technicality. You're still paying the debt. But I think they wanted to be able to end that program. So nobody has been doing those kinds of refundings of the Build America bonds. Most likely going to need to wait until we got to 2021. There is a way potentially to do a so-called crossover refunding where the escrow created doesn't directly pay off those bonds. It's not 2021. It's a complicated structure, and it's just that we have to issue those bonds on a taxable basis. So the chance to save anything in debt service going taxable rates to taxable rates, not extremely likely. The best scenario is to just keep our eye on it and get ready when
Thanks.
And for those that don't know, the 2010 issue, that was the issue that they did for the new building. We do get a federal subsidy. It was Build America bonds. We get about $1.9 million in federal subsidy a year from those. Plus, we get a reimbursement through the ClanCom process as well. So there is a nice chunk of money that we get reimbursed on that.
Okay. Page 5, in Word format there, just kind of gives you the basic statistics on all the bond issues that you have outstanding, when they're callable, the coupons outstanding for each, and when their final maturity dates. Again, I noted in the 13 and 14 summary that we have been looking at refunding savings, and we'll let you know when anything significant arises where it's worth you pursuing.
I think it's important to point out the rates were low.
That's correct. Page 6 just kind of goes over briefly what we assumed for your new money borrowing for 2018. Again, we assumed deposit. We made an assumption based on Sam's exchange of information with us to deposit $9.5 million into your project fund, assuming a structure of debt service wrapping around your existing debt, and also assuming 0% for state reimbursement. Additionally, we used your current rating under current market conditions. We assumed we estimate all the costs of issuance, including your legal, printing, paying agent, underwriter's discount, QSIP, DAC, and your rating. We also estimated the use of bond insurance using the same rate that you guys received in 2017. So that rate could go up or down based on what your underlying rating comes back at. But we assume it's going to be pretty similar. I'd be surprised that your bond insurance costs went up significantly or anything like that. And we assume your rating is going to come back in the A2 category and or better. So kept the payment dates at 3/15 and 9/15, with principal being paid on 9/15. Again, that you guys could change that if you so desire, whatever payment dates, but in working with Sam, we felt comfortable with those. This would be a bank qualified bond issue, meaning that it's issued for less than $10 million, assuming no other debt has been issued by the district during that calendar year. And it's on a calendar year basis, not a fiscal year basis. The bonds would be able to be redeemed in 5 years, just like your 2017 bond issue, very similar. And also, we did run a scenario without bond insurance so we could illustrate the difference in the cost benefit of using the bond insurance. And I'll get to that in a couple more pages just to show you what the differences are. Page 7, again, takes your existing debt service, wrapping around the proposed 2018 bond debt service, highlighted there in yellow. You can see it goes out one more year to 2044. And roughly the adjustment you see is about $390,000 to the budget. Very similar to the 2017 bond issue, which I think was $393 or something as an adjustment to the budget. Again, our assumptions are depositing a figure of $9.5 million into your project fund. We didn't assume any interest earnings on that construction fund money. You're probably going to earn some, but nothing significant during the time that you spend those proceeds. The considerations that we've talked with bond counsel and with Sam is just making sure that the length of the time that we estimate the payback of those bonds does not exceed the useful life of the projects, and we feel comfortable in talking with bond counsel that we're well within the useful life of the projects being discussed. Final maturity again, March of 2015 or 2044. The bond yield being 4.023789%. So still a relatively low borrowing rate when you consider going out for 30 years. Moving forward on page 8. So we did a comparison just so you could see if we did a bond issue with insurance and a bond issue without bond insurance. Legally, we are obligated that anytime we use bond insurance or anytime we get bids for bond insurance, we have to determine the economic value for the school district. So, meaning that we have to evaluate a bond issue with rates without insurance and a bond issue with rates with insurance plus the cost of the bond insurance. And we do that for every bond issue we go through where we get bond insurance bids. I think we've done a half a dozen bond issues for the district, and I think the 12s, the 14s, and the 15s we did not use bond insurance because it was not economically beneficial for the district. But just basically, you can see the difference in debt service between the two. Again, the proposed we're recommending is the proposed bond issue with bond insurance, and you can see the cost difference there. $226,000 benefit for using bond insurance, present valuing that back at the bond yield, present values to a present value benefit of $111,000. Again, we assume the same things for both bond issues going out the same length of time. The par amount's different a little bit just because of the more spread required for a bond issue without bond insurance. But overall, I think we would recommend the use of bond insurance under current market conditions at this time. Now, that could all change. The market could change dramatically. You could come back with a higher rating that may make that difference a little slimmer, and we would evaluate that. As you get up into the AA categories, obviously all bond insurance companies right now, the highest rated are AA. So if you made it up in that AA category, you probably wouldn't need bond insurance. But again, we just do that evaluation. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. If you have any questions, please let me know.
And how they determine that bond rating, I mean, yeah, the bond rating is, we'll have a call with Moody's or S&P or Moody's, which I usually take the call. These guys are on the phone with them. There's a number of questions that they have. It's really based on, you know, our current financial situation. And since the last bond issue, as you'll see with our presentation tonight at the audit, our financial situation is greatly better than what it was even a year ago when we issued these bonds. So, fingers crossed, we might get a little better rating.
Correct. Just one thing I want
I have
Sure.
a couple things on bond insurance. The payment, the bond premium on the 2017 was $40,000.
Correct.
Round figures, yeah, 40,839, whatever. That's the cost we front. We pay the premium up front, right?
Correct.
So we would have to go until March 2027 to recoup that. I'm on page 8, difference/savings. 4,100, 4,100, 4,500, 45, etc. Now, is that thinking wrong?
That you would have to go until March 2027 before you recouped the savings?
That equals about $40,000 worth of savings.
Okay.
So that's the savings you're telling me I'm going to get, as opposed to my $40,000 premium. Is
Okay.
that making any sense?
Well, I understand your reasoning, but you're locking in the savings on the entire bond issue. The total cost of your borrowing is fixed.
Okay.
So you've already locked in the cost of the bond insurance, and you've already realized the fixed cost of your debt service.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask another question. It's callable in 5 years.
Correct.
So if you call it, you're refinancing it.
Correct.
What happens to that $40,000 then? The bond premium. Do we lose? There's no refund on it, is there?
There is no refund on it now.
Okay. So is that a loss of any kind?
I don't believe so, no.
All right, so if you do not use insurance, you don't have that fee for 6 years.
Right.
When you refund, you're still losing out on the principal you're going to pay, because it's going to be higher. The annual payment is going to be higher.
Right. Okay. One final question.
Sure.
According to my research, in 2014, 5.5% of new issues had bond insurance. 5.5%. 2015, it was 6.4%. 2016, it was around 6%. At 6% of all new bond issues got bond insurance.
Correct.
What's wrong with the other 94 if bond insurance is such a...
Well, that 6% that you point out is the entire bond marketplace. That's AAA bonds, AA bonds, BBB minus bonds, bonds that bond insurance companies don't target or offer bond insurance to. So really, you're right, 6% of the entire marketplace gets bond insurance, but that includes housing, healthcare that does not even get bond insurance to begin with. So probably the more relevant statistic would be to look at Pennsylvania school districts and what is their market penetration for bond insurance. So Pennsylvania school districts probably have a market penetration for bond insurance of around 40%. But that would still include AA rated issuers, AAA rated issuers if there are any. Again, BBB minus, lower rated issuers, non-credit rating issuers. So maybe even if you dive deeper into that statistic, it's probably, being that your situation is that you're an A2 rated school district, you'd probably look at what Pennsylvania school districts in the A category, what's their market penetration for bond insurance? And, you know, I believe that's roughly 50 plus percent for Pennsylvania school districts in that category.
Thank you.
Okay. And that would tie into what you have outstanding, because I think the 12s just matured in 17, but the 12s, the 14s, and the 15s, again, we did not use bond insurance because it did not make sense for the district. So,
Right.
Okay. One thing I did want to point out is that I just saw on page 6, I have principal being paid on 9/15. It's actually being paid on 3/15. I apologize for that. Pages 10 in the appendix, you'll see we broke out the actual bond issuance for each, the insured and uninsured, and you can see there the composition of the bond issue on page 11. Again, you would see the par amount of the proposed bond issue of $9,665,000. Small discount, meaning the bonds were sold slightly less coupon than the yield. The coupon is less than the yield to get a slight discount. You see the project fund deposit there of $9.5 million. You see the cost of issuance estimated, including all your legal and the things we had mentioned there, and our underwriter's discount at $118,000. The cost of bond insurance roughly the same as your last bond issue in 17 of $40,000, and then those monies left over for rounding there are additional proceeds that just go back to the district after all costs are paid. So you'd probably see a project fund deposit of $9.5 million and plus an additional $3,000 or so. Again, you can see how it shakes out here on page 12, what the debt service actually looks like. You can see the payments, again, going out to 2044, callable in 2023, wrapping around your existing debt service. And the reason you see those 5 bond pieces is because of the state laws, and the DCED requires principal amortization each year moving forward. So normally if it was an authority deal or something like that, we wouldn't have those 5 bond pieces, but the state does require that we have principal amortization every year. So we wrap around and you see again that budgetary adjustment of $390,000, and it drops off out there in 2044. Page 13 puts the whole package together, shows you each bond issue you have outstanding, plus the proposed 2018 bond issue, again going out to 2044, keeping your debt service roughly level and or declining as we move forward. The same pages are included for the uninsured bond issue. Pages 15, 16, and 17, the same things. You see the par amount for the uninsured issue is just a little bit higher just because you need a little bit more spread without the bond insurance to get those rates, and the yields are a little bit higher, so you have a little bit more discount, causing you to borrow a little bit more. But again, depositing $9.5 million, you see the cost there minus the bond insurance. Page 16 shows what the debt service would look like, roughly a little bit more of an adjustment, but overall a savings of over $226,000. So again, as Sam mentioned, the timing we would be looking at would be to hopefully be back in March after your direction to be ready with a resolution in conjunction with Mr. Brewer to get the authorization to get you guys into the marketplace. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to get ready for that process. we already have a lot of your information ready to go to the rating agencies and to start your preliminary official statement. So if you guys have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay. Chris, did you want to add anything?
Good evening. I'm Chris Brewer from Dinsmore and Scholl, as was mentioned earlier, and as your bond counsel, just for those of you who are not as familiar with the process or haven't been on the board before, you have here tonight your legal and financial team. As bond counsel, we do all the documents and all the legal work related to the bond issue. Piper Jaffray, as your investment bankers, will get you your credit rating, get the bonds structured, and entice the investors to invest in them, and we'll get them sold in the marketplace. At some point, as they go out to the marketplace and solicit orders and bids from investors, they are able to underwrite your bonds by presenting you a firm contract to buy them all, whether they sell them or not. And that's the dynamics of that process. We have, in the last several issues for you, for a number of reasons. One, the flexibility, given that the markets seem to change just so erratically and so quickly these days. And also the fact that Mondays, by and large, are not always the very best days to sell bonds, but that's the days of your regular voting meetings. We will bring to you, with your leave on the 12th, a resolution to authorize the issue and yet to schedule and plan for its sale sometime subsequent based on communications between the investment bankers and the administration. And the idea there being that we won't allow your meeting date and your voting meeting to control your market access. It could be a horrific day in the market, as today was on the stock side. And yet we will draft a resolution, and Mr. Price will review it and comment on it, that will set this all in motion, subject to administration approval, subject to signature of your board president. So that's my job, is to get the legal documents in place. Once we do get bonds sold in the marketplace and a contract between the district and the underwriter, then we go off, as Chip mentioned, to DCD for an approval, and we'll do all the filings both at the Department of Community and Economic Development and at PDE to put everything in shape. By and large, the 4-week or so ramp up is to get you through the rating process, get documents ready, and then after the bond sale itself, it's another month to get the cash on the table, given the state approval process. For that reason, we know you got cash in the bank, but we're coming to the summer season. I'm sure you're going to continue to roll on these projects. If there is bad news about the seeming pressure on interest rates that somewhat rise, it is, though, I think Chip touched on this, the fact that there's more pressure on the short end of the market and the yield curve's leveling a bit, so the long end, where you have a lot of your debt maturing, is, not going to be in such bad shape. But, given those time frames and so forth, they need to be flexible. We want to make sure we have the cash for you when you're ready for it all. There aren't usually too many questions on the legal side, so as a lawyer, I'll resist the usual temptation to just keep talking. But if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. A couple of things were running in my mind as we did talk about some concepts of bond redemption, the so-called call right, and also of insurance. The Build America bonds, because they were an $80 million issue, were sold with a 10-year call, 10 years before you can get to a redemption and refunding opportunity. That's actually the standard in the larger municipal market. Pennsylvania has actually been unique in its ability to get buyers to accept a 5-year redemption period on the bank-qualified issues. I have partners in our Ohio offices and Kentucky offices who are just amazed that we're refunding our debt within 5 years in Pennsylvania very commonly, because we've been able to push that market to the advantage of issuers such as yourself and keep all of your options open. With that said, Mr. Smith, I am reminded, as you were talking about, something that happens to me and my wife every time I'm at Best Buy and I buy that new appliance, and they say, "Do you want the warranty?" And you know that if you don't buy it, that's when the piece of equipment will break, and if you do buy it, you'll never use it. And that's a little bit of bond insurance. You're right. You don't get a refund. Years ago, the insurers actually did offer that. This New York State insurance regulation shut that down for whatever New York State insurance law reasons are applicable. So it is a little bit of a sunk cost. At the same time, if to the extent that rates have been generally low, and they're still pretty low, you may well find that you're in these bonds for the duration, in which case then, you will earn back that premium via money ahead. I don't want to tread into the investment banking area, but I think a lot of times, too, it's just also a question of what buyers are afoot in the market. And if there are buyers who want yield, then you're probably better off without insurance, even if you give up a little bit of interest rate. If there are buyers looking for security, which could be the case looking ahead here in the short run given the volatility, then offering them a little more security
will probably pay dividends to you. And again, for those of you not familiar, bond insurance is not insurance to the district. It's a one-time premium you pay to an insurance company with a AA